One of the most popular ever fighters in Britain, Barry McGuigan, features in this classic fight. McGuigan, the former world featherweight champion, up against the ex-European title holder, Jim McDonnell, as they go head-to-head in Manchester. McDonnell had lost to super featherweight world champion Brian Mitchell in 1988 and wanted to prove that he was still an elite-level fighter. McGuigan had captured world honours famously in 1985, only to lose his WBA crown the following year. Now reaching the twilight of his career, the Clonus Cyclone was still expected to come out on tops in what was an intriguing super featherweight matchup. Our commentary team, Jim Watt and Reg Guttridge.
In terms of activity, he'll say, since McGuigan retired, I've had 77 rounds and he's only had 16 on his comeback. Well, whether that'll work out in his favour or not, we don't know. The referee's already in the ring awaiting him, Mickey Van from Leeds, former boxer. And this G-Mex stadium here in Manchester, now converted from the old Central Railway Station. It really is an ideal spot for the fight business. And they've got a near capacity crowd here, which it holds 8,728 to be exact. And I don't think they're much more than a few hundred short, apparently. And of course, there he comes then, McGuigan, the man who we know is, in a way, he's transcended boxing, isn't he, Barry? He's so much bigger these days. He's so popular. Former world champion, former European champion, former British champion. McDonnell also held the European, but never competed for the British title, strangely enough. So he'll come in with his new, comparatively new entourage of advisor there, Frank Warren and Jimmy Tibbs. Now, he could be a key factor, really, Jimmy, because for many years he trained Jim McDonnell until he went out on his own as a trainer-manager. So the music, appropriately, of course, for McGuigan to horsewhip the Irish band. Well, I tell you, Jim, it's a hard trek to get in this ring.
Yeah, almost as hard a fight to get into the ring as he's going to have it once he gets there. I think we should remember, although McDonnell's not a hard puncher, he's a very accurate puncher, and I think if Barry's defence is as open as it was in his previous fight, he could have more problems than he needs tonight.
Obviously a very big betting favourite, Barry McGuigan, who likes this super featherweight, 9 stone 4. There's only a half a pound separating them, and that doesn't really matter. Very much a pro in every sense, Barry McGuigan. As he said to a Sunday columnist, Pat Collins, recently, well, they say I'm a millionaire. I don't live like a millionaire and I don't fight like a millionaire. So over to Nat Basso for the introductions.
Gentlemen, please. My lords, ladies and gentlemen, Barry Miller's Natural Promotions, in association with Jack Ticket Promotions, proudly present the main event of the evening, sponsored by Stonesill. A 10-round super featherweight contest of 3 minutes each round at 9 stone 4 pound or 130 pound, an eliminator for the super featherweight championship of the world. Presenting and introducing to you the former super featherweight champion of Europe from Camden Town in London, Jim McDonnell.
And the one loss there, of course, was to the South African Brian Mitchell for the WBA championship.
The former European and WA featherweight champion of the world from Golden Island, Barry McGuigan.
His losses then to Steve Cruz in that cauldron heat of Las Vegas for the championship, and to Peter Eubanks in Brighton in '81.
McGuigan scaled 9 stone 3.5 pounds, 129.5.
So there you are. For what it's worth, he's got a spot a half a pound to McDonnell there, McGuigan.
Your referees, the Mickey Van of Leeds, your timekeeper, Colin Roberts of Halifax, and your student Mr. Dennis Watson of Manchester.
So all the trimmings are over now, and McGuigan, former boxer from Leeds, just having the final rundown. Though, as I say, they didn't say anything to each other at the weighing-in ceremony today in the basement of the local hotel here. And I'm sure this, with the gum shields in, the last thing they want to do is to chat. So now, is McGuigan risking it? Well, for £250,000 there, Barry Hearn really splashed out for this one. The gate receipts tonight are £480,000. The crowd 8,100. Well, McGuigan was saying he's a bit steamed up by some of the things that McDonnell said at an early press conference. But he's too much of a calculating pro to let that get to him, but he'll probably try and stamp a bit of superiority early on now. But he's a smart boxer, McDonnell, as I say, hasn't been on the deck, and that takes him doing it. And he was a very successful amateur as well. Won the ABA lightweight title, started as a bantamweight, 8 stone 6.
See, one of McGuigan's main assets as a fighter is the rhythm. He likes to get into rhythm, keep throwing punches, keep them flowing. Well, that will not be easy against a man like McDonnell, who's not going to hang around. He's going to step back. McGuigan sets himself to throw bursts of punches. McDonnell's going to step back out of range. So McGuigan might take a few rounds to find any rhythm here.
Not surprisingly, Jim, for a long time apparently Jim McDonnell's always said he's fancied his chances with McGuigan. Well, now's his big chance. He's only stopped 11 of 25 fights he's won, against the one loss.
Well, McGuigan normally wears opponents down with incessant pressure, but being a counter-puncher, McDonnell will be better prepared, better suited to cope with pressure, because he's used to letting the other fellow take the initiative.
Just planted that right hand in just a bit high there, McGuigan, on the side of McDonnell's head. Well, they build this as nowhere to go, nowhere to hide, nowhere to run, all that sort of thing. And it's pretty obvious, Jim, really, that there is nowhere to go for the loser of this one. And I think certainly McGuigan would retire for sure if he lost. And I would think probably McDonnell as well.
I don't know if... I think there's more pressure on McGuigan. He has come back for one reason, as he's told us, world titles. And this would obviously shatter those ambitions. But McDonnell can still... he may be prepared. He's never made the big money. If he loses this, to go back to European level, British level. It just depends if how much of his heart is still in the game.
Well, there it is, a good sizing up round. There weren't too many scouting reports going on there, were they? As Jim Watt said, McGuigan got off that stool and tried to sort of stamp his authority on right away. Didn't always connect, a little bit out of distance, but he hasn't spared himself in training, according to trainer Jimmy Tibbs. And there's his run down there, Barry McGuigan. Now lives in Buckinghamshire in England. And he's looking to get a fight now with probably Tony Lopez, who holds the International Boxing Federation version of the title. But Lopez has got to defend first against Tyrone Jackson. Apparently they're having trouble making the match with Azuma Nelson of Ghana for the WBC. And that's another old boxer there, Darky Smith, in the corner with McDonnell. And Freddie King there on his... All former boxers, all been through the mill. Freddie King there to train that. Second round. It's going to be a lively one, Jim. Certainly the referee, McGuigan, has got to be on his toes for this one.
Yeah, well, McGuigan only fights the one way, coming forward, exerting pressure. But I really feel it's going to be a difficult one for him, obviously because McDonnell won't stay in the one place for any length of time. McGuigan is going to find it very difficult to find a rhythm, so he's going to have to spend the first round or two just finding ways to get into punching range and maybe put plenty of power into single punches. I think McGuigan's cut already, Reg.
Well, he had it in the last contest, and one or two people.
It was a slashing left hook, Reg.
Rather began to ride him off there. Now this is certainly going to spur McDonnell on. Oh, it looks a bad one, Jim.
It's a bad one. It was a kind of slashing left hook, a wide punch. No way was it heads or anything else. I saw the punch land and McGuigan's in serious trouble. And that looked like a solid punch that landed there, Reg. I think it caught him high on the head, but the way he grabbed onto McGuigan's legs, I think McDonnell was badly shaken there.
So referee there telling them to cool it a little bit. What a shock. It's always a shock when you see McGuigan bleeding. I suppose that's the scars of previous battles now. Carries a bit of tissue around the eyes there. Well, there's no love lost here, Jim, is there? And the referee man is nagging a bit at McDonnell there, pulling on, isn't he?
I would say McGuigan needs a knockout here, Reg, because that looks a terrible cut. It looks a long one, a deep one, and a bleeder. I think he has serious problems.
Well, if he does, as I've repeated, he said he'll be the first one to do that to McDonnell.
There was definitely a punch that caused that knockdown, Reg. I heard it rather than saw it, and McDonnell still looks a little bit stunned. He's doing silly things, his hands are down, he's fighting back. I think he's obviously still feeling the effects of that punch.
Well, I'll tell you, the crowd are stamping their feet on the floors here right at the back of the G-Mex Centre. I can sort of sense the desperation in McGuigan's fighting now. Keep the punches up.
McDonnell has been doing silly things this round, Reg. He's getting away with them, but he's doing some very dangerous, silly things.
Bit of an appeal to the referee from McGuigan. It's a bit unlike him. And he's going to get this under control now. Well, it's a long lecture there. They'll take a bit of time off probably for the end of that round, although he didn't gesture that to the timekeeper. Add a bit of time, I should say. Oh, what a good battle inside. Now, who is the stronger of the two? We've always assumed McGuigan is. So now these fellas here have got to really get stuck into that cut now. And it looks like the experienced Ernie Fossey. Jimmy Tibb talking tactics with him, obviously, but there he is, the old hand of Ernie Fossey now, pressing that coagulant on there from 1001 adrenaline, which is the only thing the Boxing Board of Control permit in the corner. And there's inspectors there to make sure there are no other coagulants. Jim, in replay now.
Yeah, well, McGuigan responded well the last time we saw him cut in his last contest. It brought out the best of him. That was a slashing punch that caused the injury.
Yes, let's have a look at the overhead camera. It was almost, as he saw it coming, tried to pull away and got caught on the end of it. This is the knockdown one, yes.
Yeah, there was a little punch come through. You could hear the punch rather than see it, but the way McDonnell clutched onto his leg, he was obviously hurt.
Yeah, like the old sailor clutching the mast there, wasn't he? Stuck for being washed overboard the way he did that. So there it is. Surprise in itself, although, as I say, cut in the last fight, but later in the contest in this. The third round of a scheduled 10. May not have the official world title eliminator tag, but all contests are eliminators because there's nowhere for losers to go in this business. They have to do the best they can. Well, that instant repair work, it's going to be difficult, Jim, but so far looks as though the cornermen are doing a good job there. But certainly McGuigan's got to get his head out of the way a bit.
He's in a terrible situation. He has to take chances to try to get the big punches home, and because he's taking chances, he's also taking some little slick jabs from McDonnell. McDonnell's doing the right thing, backing off and just trying to inflict some more damage on McGuigan's face.
a spindly-looking character, Jim McDonnell, but he's a durable one. His record shows it.
Well, he was shaken in the previous round, and it took him a full minute before he was completely recovered. But he's always had a good chin. He's never been stopped. Good defence, although he has taken a lot of chances tonight.
Certainly concerned for McGuigan, Jim, as they say. There's never such a thing as a good cut, but this one's in a bit of an awkward position and he's looking fairly deep.
Yeah, and you don't like it this early in the fight either. I mean, he's almost the whole fight ahead of him. Just a stumble from McGuigan. A punch landed, but it was just a stumble.
Minute to go in the third. Certainly McDonnell, the man some thought might be the no-hoper, is putting up, well, the old stout resistance, I think, is the corniest line I can think of. And there's the countdown for the end of the third, Jim, and I would think the referee having let the seconds have a go at this cut again, and then he'll probably go over and inspect that right away.
See, McGuigan can't find rhythm. He's having to try single shots to try and wobble McDonnell. This is not the way he likes to do business.
Well, they're the men, as I say, that's so important to have the good man in your corner, and he's going to need every help that he can get here now, Barry McGuigan. He really is. Now, he came through the cuts and bruises last time to beat Julio Miranda of Argentine, but this looks a deeper cut to Nugent than any of those long too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gaping as well. There's obviously a bit of swelling on the eye between the brow and the lid. It seems a bit of swelling, so I don't know if they'll be able to stop the bleeding here.
And the referee now just ambling over to McGuigan's corner, but he's standing back. And they're the competent team there, obviously, in McDonnell's corner. Lee McKenna, former Southend boxer, Darky Smith from the Midlands, and Freddie King from London. And we're into the fourth round with the former world champion, Barry McGuigan, cut, but he's asking them now to take a bit of Vaseline off the face there. Ernie Foster's plastered it as much as he can to give him every extra protection. Might even be some adrenaline cream in there as well. So we'll add a few seconds to that, the timekeeper, that round. Well, I tell you, Jim, non-title fight, but desperation stuff from McGuigan. He's had a lot easier world title fights than this.
Yeah, well, McDonnell was always going to give him problems, even if he was allowed to fight his own fight, but now he's not. He's having to look for single shots to knock a man out. That's not the way McGuigan likes to do it. He likes to wear an opponent down, put punches together and exert pressure and keep the punches flowing. He's not been allowed to do that, so added to the cut, and get some real extreme problems tonight.
And McGuigan's brother, Dermot, there, saying, easy son, take your time. I'm not sure that he can afford to do that. Getting to work with the body there, and the crowd rising to McGuigan, but what a game guy McDonnell is. He's not backing off. Going to have another look at that, Mickey Van, and I don't fancy this at all. It's all over in the fourth round. It was always on the cards there that was going to happen. The ring's been invaded. Well, in its way, certainly an accident, we know. Not an accident, but a punch that caused it. And one of the biggest upsets that we'll see in a long time, Jim. This fella really was written off by everybody, Jim McDonnell.
Yeah, but well, the thing is too, Reg, good refereeing, because they gave McGuigan every chance. They gave him 2 full rounds to try to nail McDonnell. It wasn't happening. McDonnell was still landing on the injury. He had the injury bleeding all the way through. McDonnell obviously knew that was his best chance of victory. He kept the left hand accurately in McGuigan's face. McGuigan had to make all the mistakes, and I think the referee can't be blamed for stopping the fight. As I say, he gave Barry every chance, but it wasn't to be.
Jimmy Tibbs, a former trainer of McDonnell there, well, congratulating a very sporting end. But what a sad end for McGuigan, and well, could that be the end, Jim?
Yeah, I think it must be the end for McGuigan, because there's no way they can, although the name McGuigan has and the fact that he's lost on injury, then there's a possibility they could still manoeuvre him into a world title shot, because he's such a big name. But how would his confidence be after this? I mean, he didn't really get the chance to box well tonight, but he didn't really box well. He had to take all the chances, but there you are.
So there it is, Jim Rosenthal's got the winner there.
Well, Jim, very well done indeed. You've upset the bookies, you've upset Barry McGuigan, but you always had very deep confidence that you could do it.
I just want to go on record now and say that the first thing I'd like to say is thank you to everyone who's enabled me to get ready for this fight. Everyone at Matchroom, especially Freddie King, my trainer, Darky, and especially to my real man, Barry Earn. I'd like to say a special thank you to Barry McGuigan, who is a great fighter. He's the best fighter I've ever fought, including Mitchell. And I'm just so pleased that everything's worked out, which we worked on in training. And unfortunately for Barry, got a cut eye, but it was a great fight, and Barry McGuigan's a great fighter in all return.
I know that now that you've done all the thank yous, his corner were complaining a little bit about the way he got the cut. I think if you look down here, we can show you that you actually did it with a very good left hand.
Yeah, I've been working on left hooks in the gym. Long ones, there it is, bang. That's the shot we've been working on. Dropping the hand, slipping the left hook round the back, which is a slashing shot, and that was the shot that done the damage.
And here it is.
The fight lasted. I don't know who was in front, but I competed all the way through, and I didn't get in there to hide. I went in there to win.
And here you are seeing it once again. Now, this has really opened the doors for you, because if you'd have been beaten here tonight, you really, as the advertising said, had nowhere to go.
I don't make no mistake about that. Boxing's a very hard game, and I want to be world champion. I've got what it takes to be world champion. Barry was a great champion. I've got him on my belt as a win, and this man's going to get me a world title fight, and I'm going to win it.
And it looks, it looks as though this could be the end for your opponent, doesn't it? Because he has said he'd retire if you won here.
I don't speak for Barry. You know, Barry wants to sit down and think about things, but I'm one of his biggest fans, always have been, and I'll just have to psych myself up for this fight and make out it weren't Barry McGuigan, but a great fighter.
So an excellent victory for McDonnell, enough to earn him a second world title shot against the great Azuma Nelson. It wasn't to be for McDonnell's second time either, but he went on, of course, to enjoy a great career as a boxer and, latterly, as a trainer. As for the Cyclone, Barry McGuigan retired with a total career record of 32 victories and 3 defeats and a place in the nation's heart. Thanks very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this classic boxing encounter. We'll see you here on BT Sport with more soon.